Curtis Martin was a workhorse, whose road to the NFL was anything but ordinary. In fact, he didn't even start playing football until his senior year of high school. Growing up in a rough part of Pittsburgh, Martin encountered multiple near-death experiences during his youth. Wanting her son to escape the surrounding crime and violence for a few hours a day, Martin's mother asked him to pick up something extracurricular, and he would appease her by joining the football team. However, oddly enough, he did not have any interest in the game, and would only be swayed into playing once the football coach at his high school convinced him to do so. Despite not having passion for the sport, Martin was a natural, to the extent that he compiled over 1,700 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns in his lone season of high school football, which caught the eye of several major schools and resulted in receiving multiple scholarship offers. However, Martin would ultimately decide to stay close to home and attend the University of Pittsburgh, where despite constantly dealing with injuries, he still managed to amass nearly 3,400 scrimmage yards and 17 total touchdowns across 30 games. And had it not been for an ankle injury that limited him to 2 games his senior year, he very likely could have been a first-round pick. However, since Martin would forego the option to redshirt his senior season, his stock would take a hit. He declared for the 1995 draft, and his combine performance would quell some of the concerns around his durability and injury history, but he would still fall to the 3rd round, where he would be drafted by Bill Parcells and the running back needy Patriots. Impressed by Martin's excellent character, vision, and 4.4 speed, Parcells took a liking to Martin, taking the young talent under his wing. Martin would welcome his coach's mentoring and quickly confirm the Patriots' decision to draft him, running for 102 yards and 1 touchdown in his first game, including a 30-yard scamper on his first carry. He would eclipse the 100-yard mark 8 more times that season, and would end up leading the AFC in rushing. He was also named Offensive Rookie of the Year and to his first Pro Bowl. The following year would be another Pro Bowl season for Martin, and he would be integral to the Patriots' rapid turnaround. Coming off a 6-10 season, not many predicted New England would bounce back the way they did, much less be a Super Bowl contender. However, with a rising star like Martin in the backfield, their rapid ascension became less surprising as the season went on. Martin finished the year with 1,485 scrimmage yards and 17 total touchdowns. The Patriots would win 8 of their last 10 games and finish the season 11-5. And Martin would have his best game of his young career in the divisional round, dominating the Steelers with 166 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. He would stay hot and scored the only offensive touchdown the following week against the Jaguars in the championship game, helping the Patriots punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. In a matchup with the heavily favored Packers, Martin would have a key 3rd quarter touchdown to keep the game close. However, it wouldn't be enough, and the Patriots' Cinderella season would come to an end. Martin would also lose his head coach and mentor in Bill Parcells, who resigned following the loss and subsequently joined the Jets as a head coach and general manager. Martin would have his 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard season the following year, despite only playing 13 games, and would become an unrestricted free agent after the season. Wanting to reunite with his protege, Parcells would waste no time trying to bring Martin to New York, and the Jets would offer him a poison pill contract, making it nearly impossible for the Patriots to match their offer sheet. Martin would sign the deal, and had an immediate impact on a Jets team that was on the rise. In his first season as a Jet, he rushed for 1,287 yards and 8 touchdowns, and he also had a career-high 365 receiving yards. The Jets would finish 12-4 and earned a first-round bye. In the divisional round, they faced off against the Jaguars, who had ironically eliminated the Patriots the previous week in their wildcard matchup. Martin would be the difference that day, and the Jets fed him early and often, to the tune of 42 touches for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Jets won 34-24, but would now have the tall task of going up against the juggernaut in the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship. In typical Martin fashion, he came up big, scoring the game's first touchdown, and the Jets would jump out to a 10-0 lead. However, the Broncos would storm back in the second half and scored 23 unanswered points, securing the victory. Unfortunately, Martin would never make it back to a Super Bowl or a championship game. However, that didn't prevent him from becoming the most productive running back in New York Jets history, compiling 7 1,000-yard seasons and only missing 1 game during that span. He also made 3 Pro Bowls and was named an All-Pro 3 times, one of which was at age 31, when he rushed for a league-leading 1,697 yards, making him the oldest player in NFL history to capture a rushing title. An Iron Man, Martin was finally forced to retire at 32 after his 11th season due to a knee injury. He often played through pain and averaged over 330 carries per year, which is somewhat ironic, given that durability, the quality that came into question early in his career, became the one that largely defined it. An underrated pass catcher, Martin also averaged over 300 receiving yards per season. And in terms of notable records, he and Barry Sanders are the only players to start their career with 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. His 14,101 rushing yards are 6th all-time, and his 90 rushing touchdowns are tied for 11th. He is still the all-time leader in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in Jets history, and in 2012, he received football's highest honor and was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Not too shabby for someone who didn't pick up a football until their senior year of high school. I want to thank you for watching, and I would love to hear about your favorite memories of Curtis "My Favorite" Martin.